thinking of a way to kind of start this little conversation out. What was your trick or treat experience like as a kid?
Where I actually lived, it was kind of desolate, of course. But my grandmother lived in town, and she lived on this street. It was not a one-way street or a dead end or a cul-de-sac street, but it had one long straight stretch that she lived on. So we would go, and she kind of lived in the middle of it. We would go there and park, and Mom would sit on her porch with Granny and give out candy, and I could run up and down both sides of the street and be in eye view for, a quarter mile in each direction.
Mm-hmm.
And the street was filled with older retired folks who just loved the kids and loved Halloween and showed it through the treats that they provided for people. So I had a great Halloween experience as a kid. We got top-notch candy and other treats. As we're going to talk about, not all the best treats were candy, and I'm going to go over a few of. But yeah, it was cool. Really fun, and a lot of kids in town that you went to school with came to the same street, and it was just like a party in the street. There was very little traffic. Kids, you could roam around in the street and talk and play and run and go trick-or-treating and still be within eyesight in a safe environment. So I had a great Halloween trick-or-treating experience growing up.
Yeah, that's cool. I thought maybe living out in the country a little bit, you'd have to find another place like that to do your trick-or-treating without having to walk a mile to your next neighbor or whatever.
Yeah, well, there were plenty of cows around us, but they didn't give out candy. So
yeah, that's true.
Trick-or-treat.
A little refreshment as you're traipsing through the farm lands there. That's fun. I lived on a cul-de-sac growing up, and it was rural kind of area. So we had a main drag that went into town, and then you had several streets off of there that were just dead-end streets. And what we would do is normally hit our street, and we were allowed at some point with me and some of the neighborhood friends to go down that main drag and then up the next dead-end street to hit all those houses as well. And I don't know, there might have been maybe 24 on each street, something like that. So by the time we were done, we had a pretty good size of candy just in 2 streets. And like you said, it seemed like back then everybody participated.
Mm-hmm.
There was like maybe 1 or 2 houses that would have their lights off, or maybe they were out of town or whatever. But like 90% of the houses would participate, which is not what's the case nowadays. And it's a different time, and it's a safety thing, and people don't feel comfortable with people coming to their door like it's some big conspiracy, like the razor blades in the apple back in the day. But anyway.
Well, my kids, they have had the great setup here in the recent years with their Halloweening. There's a subdivision here that has all these crisscrossing streets, and like everybody in that subdivision gives out candy. But not only that, there's a couple of high points. There's one family that has a rather large house there that they turn the whole bottom floor of their house into a haunted house for the trick-or-treaters to go through, take your kids through. There is another house there that sets up they bring in all these bales of straw and build like this straw maze haunted house in their backyard that kids can go through. And then in the cul-de-sac, the family that lives there has a bonfire where you can go toast marshmallows and stuff. So in addition to seeing all your friends and doing your trick-or-treating, you got 2 different haunted house attractions and a bonfire, and it's all free, a big, family community environment. So they've had it really lucky. My kids have.
Yeah, I would say maybe 25% of houses in our whole neighborhood participate. So we usually go to like a fall festival nearby at a church or some place where they're, giving out a bunch of candy, and have like the trunk or treat where you set up your trunk and play little games and stuff to win candy.
Mm-hmm.
We do stuff like that, and I will drive them around the neighborhood a little bit to get that experience of going up to somebody's door you don't know and asking for candy.
Well, you're still in the midst of it with your youngest one, but last year was our last year of going out trick-or-treating. Both of my kids are too old now, but my youngest still wants to go. And I'm like, no, you're too old for that crap. Now you need to be going out and egging houses and stuff. You're too old for the trick-or-treating. You just need to focus on the tricks.
That's right.
I'm going to take her out this year and show her how, and then I'm going to turn her loose next year.
Yeah. Make her go corning. I'll send you some shuck corn.
Well, I'm sure where I'm at, I could find some shuck corn. That's just something we had never engaged in around here.
We're gonna have to go into some of that at some point, but
We need to
anyway.
get together at one of our 2 neighborhoods and just go do that at some point. We'll go pull all your old pranks.
That would be great.
We'll make that a TRN retreat next fall. We'll all get together and go, soak people's windows and stuff. Team building.
Buy some plastic cutlery and fork their yards, and yeah, that would be great.
Then we all get arrested, and we're like, Eric, don't you talk. You're going to be out of this thing. One for all for one.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, just part of our conversation, I was going through my normal feed this week and found that Mental Floss posted an article on all of the popular Halloween candy by state. I thought this would be fun to go through and see what is most popular in our state. And the funny thing for me is, of course, growing up in Pennsylvania, Hershey's is going to be one of the top ones in Pennsylvania, which it is. But in Alabama, it also is as well. So I don't know if my consumption of Hershey's chocolate bars has something to do with that, or the variety packs was what I loved as a kid. Everybody went for the crackle first, it seemed like. Yeah. But those ones I loved as a kid. And I'm not huge into chocolate, even though I grew up close to Hershey. I thought that was funny that both of those states, the top is Hershey. What is it there in Virginia? I'm trying to see what that is.
It's hot tamales.
Hot tamales. Okay.
I wasn't aware that our migrant population had grown so much in recent years to cause that to happen. But we're not the only state. It says that hot tamales is the favorite in 4 different states.
Yeah, well, it looks like, is that Arizona?
Well, see,
Arizona.
I wasn't too far off in my thinking.
Yeah.
But
That's true. New York. I see it in New York. And what is that? Illinois, I think, as well? Or Indiana?
It's one of them.
Yeah. Hot tamales. Interesting.
That's what I thought. I mean, I wouldn't have... I could have guessed my top 10 and wouldn't have had hot tamales. So
yeah. Well, that was a little bit of interesting statistical analysis there. Thanks to, I think it was actually through candystore.com.
Oh, well, I'm not done. I got a few more highlights from this thing.
Oh, okay. Go for it, man.
Candy corn rated the #1 worst candy.
Yeah.
Which crazy because it's the most ordered candy in 5 different states. But, that's not something you really give out for Halloween. That's something you buy and put on your own countertop medium because it's hard to give that stuff away as far as it not being individually wrapped. And my favorite stat from the whole thing is Iowa's favorite is the Indian corn version of candy corn.
That's right.
Which I prefer, the Indian corn version. So I just thought that was neat that 5 different states had candy corns, and Iowa's the only one with the Indian corn version of candy corn.
We were at Five Below yesterday, and they have like unicorn horns. It's candy corn basically that's like rainbow colored.
I've seen those.
I haven't.
We found.
I've tried it yet.
I don't remember the brand name. It's a cheap candy. You get the little round, clear plastic bowls full of candy corn or whatever. Mm-hmm. We found last week caramel apple candy corn. And it's really good. Really good. That's
good. I don't mind candy corn and the candy pumpkins too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd eat those as a kid. So, all right, that was interesting. You want to get into your list here? You want to talk about our favorites first and save the worst for last?
Yeah, how you want to do this? You want to do a countdown or you just want to talk about this stuff?
We just go back and forth. It doesn't have to be necessarily a 1 through 5 ultimate list.
All right. Well, the first one I'm going to throw out, and it took one of 2 people to give this out at Halloween. Either somebody who was really cool as an adult or somebody who was really cheap as an adult. And that's any kind of plastic toys like the witch's fingernails or the vampire teeth and stuff like that. But that street I used to trick or treat on, there was a couple people who would just throw in some of that stuff in your trick or treat bag. Mm-hmm. Which on a night that you're getting 90 to 95% candy, it was cool to get something a little bit different because you're going home, you're eating the candy and you're having a good time and you're bouncing off the walls. Well, getting those little plastic toys gave you something to do while you were eating that candy. So I always liked getting those in the trick or treat bags.
Yeah, they weren't bad. I remember getting some spider rings as a kid.
Oh yeah, spider rings were everywhere.
Yeah, it was different. Well, I would prefer candy, but
Well, I didn't say I wouldn't prefer candy, but like I said, you got a bag full of candy. Having something just a little different sometimes was okay.
okay. Well, I'm good with it.
I mean, if you don't like my picks, we can stop now. We'll just go on to something else.
I'm not trying to criticize your pick. Your little plastic vampire teeth. Yeah. They didn't come with the fake blood, though, back then. It was just the plastic teeth, you know.
Yeah,
nowadays, you can get it with the fake blood and do it upright.
Back in my own day, you had to make your own blood.
Right. Okay, I'm going to throw one out there. I'm interested to see what you think about this, because this is just seemingly a Halloween exclusive. Okay, I don't see these anywhere else during the year, and I've always loved it. I'm a big popcorn fan, so I love getting popcorn balls because and I like the kettle corn too because they were sweet, and it might be a little interesting trying to eat them, but I don't know. I like popcorn balls.
You know, I never remember seeing or getting popcorn balls when I was trick-or-treating. The first time, and maybe it was just me, I just missed them, but the first time I saw them was when I actually worked at a grocery store. Like in 94, we got a display of them in. I'm like, what the heck is this? But yeah, that was a good idea, held together, I guess, by some light corn syrup or something. Mm-hmm. It just a ball of popcorn. So cheap to produce and a great novelty and pretty good if you like popcorn. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. All right, what's another one?
All right, well, I'm staying away from toys for just a sec. I'm going to hit you with two of them. I'm going to give you a candy as well. But there was this older gentleman who was big into collecting baseball cards on that street where I trick-or-treated. And you went to his house and rang his doorbell and said trick or treat. You got a pack of that year's Topps baseball cards. I know.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So going along with like the plastic toys, you got all this candy. And then here's a pack of baseball cards. And at that time, baseball cards was a much bigger deal than they are now, you know, more collect them and stuff. So that was awesome. And I remember going back to my granny's porch and sitting down with other friends from school and ripping those packs open and starting trading right then. So I like that. But, well, actually, I'm not going to say candy, something food item were people who would give away drinks, as in Capri Sun pouches or bottles of Squeeze-Its, or some folks even gave away whole cans of soda. And like I said, I trick-or-treated on a street that had really cool stuff because these people just had money and they loved Halloween. But getting, like, you got the spider rings and you got the baseball cards and you got all your candy, and then here's a Capri Sun Pacific cooler to wash everything down with. That was just great getting drinks in the bag.
Now, I've got a specific story about getting a drink, which kind of ruined Halloween for me, ruined my trick-or-treating pretty much for good.
Uh-oh.
And I got and this was on my least favorite list. I got a little hug, you know, the little juice that was in the barrels with the foil lid, back in the day. Mm-hmm. I love little hugs. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a knock on the drink itself, but giving it out at Halloween, this is what happened to me. So it was like one of the houses we hit last on our way back home. So I've got this bag full of candy, and they throw in the little hug. Well, when they threw it in, a lollipop stick went right through the foil lid. And soaked my candy. Oh. Soaked it. I remember going back. Well, I remember walking up the street, and from the street lights, my friend looked back and said, "Hey, dude, you're leaving a trail." I was like, "What?" And he looked, and it's dripping through my bag. I get back home, and Dad put down a towel, and we just laid it all out. We tried to, anything that was wrapped candy was pretty much okay, but some of the other stuff just got ruined, and that just did it for me, man. Little hug, a bath of little hug juice on all of my Halloween candy. That was one of the last times I went trick-or-treating. It was all tricks from that point on, and damned if you didn't. I would go back to that house, and that was the first one we egged.
But there's two ways to look at that, though. The glass is always half full. Was it the little hugs?
It was freaking empty that night, dude.
Was it the little hugs fault and that person who gave it to you, or was the real culprit the person who gave you that sucker?
Yeah. Yeah.
If they hadn't have given you that sucker, none of this would have happened.
You don't know that.
Well, you don't know that it would.
Anyway, that's what I just associate with my getting out of trick or treating. That phase was that that year.
Turn out the lights. The party's over, folks.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, one of my favorite candies to get, and you can't get away with it these days. Well, actually, you can because I bought some yesterday, but in a different form. I used to love getting candy cigarettes. I've always loved that chalky taste of candy cigarettes. And before we knew what went on in prison, we kind of mimicked prison because my friends at school, those things were like currency, but it was candy cigarettes and not real cigarettes. You could get all kinds of stuff for a handful of candy cigarettes back in my day. But now I just seen at Dollar Tree yesterday, they call them candy sticks now.
Yeah.
I bought a bag of, which I'm throwing some in Jeff's nostalgia pack because I found some retro ones that feature Tom and Jerry and the Flintstones and the Jetsons and stuff on the box.
Oh, nice.
Candy sticks. So, yeah, now they're called candy sticks, but I actually found some Lucky Strike candy cigarettes here a couple months ago, newly produced. I mean, these weren't old collectibles or anything. And I've got some of those in the Retro Museum now, and I ate like, I don't know, I bought a carton of them when I bought
a carton of candy cigarettes.
I think I've ate 10 packs of them and kept 2 for posterity.
I've seen them at Big Lots, and they had like the gum cigars.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen those, and then would you remember the candy cigarettes that was the gum? You could puff, and you had that one little puff you could do of
which
whatever that stuff was.
It was just the bubblegum dust from them producing it, but right. It seemed like the paper was always nearly impossible to get off of that bubblegum cigarette, though.
Yeah,
you was always having to chew little bits of paper.
That's right. Yeah, because you walk around with the thing in your mouth, and it just gets so wet, and then it starts getting sticky from the gum, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Carton of candy cigarettes. That's great.
That would make an excellent Christmas present too if anybody's listening and need, ideas. I prefer the 100s.
Well, you remember like back in the day they would put like a red dot on the end too of this. I don't think they do that anymore.
Well, in the Lucky Strikes that I bought, they did. It's not really? Probably not like that on the candy sticks, as they call them, but these are actually marketed and sold as candy cigarettes, which is weird because I thought that was illegal, and maybe these are, somebody flying under the radar, I guess. But yeah, they had the little pink red specks on the end of it.
Cool. All right, my favorite, all-time favorite, still my favorite, are Nerds. I love Nerds. Even the little boxes where you only get one flavor, but you were really lucky if you got like the full pack of Nerds back in the day where you had the 2 sides that opened up, I've always loved Nerds, and those are the first things I go for in my kids' candy when they're in bed at night. I'm going for a box of Nerds.
Well, going back to that article we talked about, Nerds was listed as the 6th most popular candy.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not make the top pick in any single state. When I wrote this piece for Retro Ramblings last week on my favorite Halloween treats, I put Nerds on the list. It seems like maybe Nerds were out before I become aware of them. I don't know, but it seemed like there in the mid-'80s, Nerds became a really big deal in the candy world. And all my friends at school had Nerds, the dual-sided boxes like you're talking about. And I remember before I finished trick or treating, they had already came out with the little mini boxes, single flavor, like you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the same way back then, man. Give me the Nerds. Those things were great because part of it was just the cachet that came with it. The next day at school was like, I got 9 boxes of Nerds last night. What'd you guys get?
Right. They had some great combo flavors too, on either side. When you got the Nerds, yeah, they blew up. They had the Nerd cereal. They had the little Nerds characters, I think, that came with the candy inside too. And
I used to get those in my stocking at Christmas. Yeah, that little plastic nerd that was just full of Nerds.
Yep, that was a good one.
As time went on, they started producing Halloween flavors like the Christmas. You get like I don't remember what the flavors were, or maybe it was just the theme color packaging. Maybe it was cherry on one side and green apple on the other, but it was red and green, and parents would buy them, put them in stockings. Yeah, Nerds is a classic candy though. But opposite from candy, I've got another non-candy item that I used to love to get, and that was any kind of gift certificate. Like these days, it's really popular for kids to get the little book of the free Frosty coupons.
Mm-hmm.
And remember what I say, folks, there's only one flavor of Frosty. It's a chocolate. But back in our day, the more popular item was the McDonald's gift certificates. And usually it was for the free small French fries, but there were some years that I got ones for a free small cone. And the only downside to getting that in the trick-or-treat bag was you couldn't do anything with it right away, or at least we couldn't, because our closest McDonald's was 25 minutes away. But you knew the next time you were around there, it was like having money in the bank. You know, I've got this in my hip pocket. Mom's going to take me by. I'm going to get my free ice cream cone. This is going to be awesome. A lot of people may have lived near a McDonald's and go use it the next day or maybe on their way home from trick-or-treating. But, yeah, seeing that in there is almost like when your grandparents would give you a savings bond or something for Christmas. You're like, what am I going to do with this? But you knew eventually it was going to pay off.
I'm going to buy something 20 years from now. Yeah, this is great. Now, bouncing off that, there is an older lady a street over from us, and we had her house pegged every year because as soon as we found out she was giving away this, we were like, we got to make sure we hit this house. She would give out little baggies of money, like pennies.
What?
Yes. Like pennies and nickels and dimes. Yeah, like her spare change, like she just dumped in like a plastic baggie, tied it off, and threw it in your sack. We're like, wow, okay. Either like Halloween surprised her that year, and she was like, oh shoot, it's Halloween again. I don't have any candy, so she just goes to the junk drawer and finds whatever she can, digging through the couch. But yeah, we got like bags of pennies. So this is like, back in the day where we would go down to the candy store and a penny was equal to a piece of candy. So we were like adding more candy to our haul for the night just by getting some change. So it was great, man.
Well, speaking of bags, I got one more item on my list here, and that was the people who would take the time and effort and money to put together the little treat bags. And I put a picture of the classic ones I always think of up on Retro Ramblings, just a little white paper bag with the Halloween drawing on it. And they had stuff, maybe a small box of Nerds and a miniature candy bar, and maybe a Tootsie Roll and a piece of bubble gum or something in it. But anytime people took the time and effort to put together the whole little treat bag was just tops in my book. And I wish more people had done it back then. But, we're all different. Some people couldn't afford to do that. Some people chose to be, I don't know, maybe they saw that as the easy way out and they wanted to try to find the most unique single piece candy they could give it out. But I always loved the little treat bags because it was more bang for your buck. You'd stop someplace and get one piece of something here, and then you come over here and you've got the whole little goodie bag.
Yeah. Yeah, we had none of those people on our block.
Really? Well, like I said, I was fortunate that I had a bunch of these elderly women who love seeing kids and, done it right. The best lady on that street, her name was Claire. I'm not going to say her last name, but she was a widow and she was older, and she actually sprung for full-size candy bars. And she would buy a multitude of different ones, and she'd had this big bowl, and when you came trick-or-treating, you got to pick whichever full-size candy bar you wanted. So we always tried to make that our first stop because you didn't want all the good things getting gone, like the Twix or the Crackle bars or, get there first and have the best selection.
We had older folks on both of our blocks, but they were hit or miss because you could get like money like that. Like I said, I remember getting like pencils and erasers too, just randomly, not like in a goodie bag or anything, but they'd throw those in and I'd be like, okay.
So is that on your least favorite list?
I didn't put it on the least favorite list, but it was just something that I could use and it would be fun for the Halloween season, take them to school or whatever. But
it would be fun if you got them before Halloween. You get them on Halloween. You're like, what am I going to do with this tomorrow? I need a Thanksgiving pencil now.
Right. You're digging through your bag and you see this thing, which could be an eraser or could be something gummy, and you have to make the determination. That was my only qualm about it, let me sniff this. Okay, this is an eraser. I don't want to eat this. But just a couple more one more from my list, my favorites list, and those were bottle caps.
Oh, yes.
I loved bottle caps. And of course,
still love bottle caps.
Yeah, and I still do too. Everybody loved their pop or soda, as we called it pop up north.
Yeah, we called it pop here too.
It just had those awesome flavors like root beer, and you never knew which flavor you were going to get in those little packs. So I can't remember how many they came in back in the day, but typically now there's 2 or 3. Yeah. I love bottle caps.
Now, surely you've seen those big bins of the movie theater size boxes of candy at Walmart for $1 a piece. They have those big boxes of bottle caps mixed in there.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yeah, I've bought them from there for years.
I haven't dug through one of those in a while to see what was in there. So
you can probably get some hot tamales in there too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can. And Mike and Ike and all those same kind of
Now I like Good and Plenty's though. Good and Plenty's my candy.
Oh, no, the purple and white ones.
Yeah, the licorice.
No, that's like the black licorice flavor, right?
Yeah, that's the good licorice flavor. There is no other licorice than black. People who call red vines licorice, that's not licorice. Licorice comes from the licorice tree, and they don't have red vine licorice trees growing out in the wild. That's a figment of somebody on the left coast's imagination.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I like red vines and Twizzlers, but that's not licorice. People need to get out of calling it that. It can be twisted and shaped like it, but it don't mean it's licorice.
Okay, so I still got the candy store's worst Halloween, top 10 Halloween candies. Number 8 is licorice, and number 9 is Good and Plenty.
Fake news. Fake news. CNN, fake news.
Yeah, I can't stand the black licorice flavor. Nope. Or the licorice flavor, as you say.
Yeah, licorice.
All right, let's get into some of the ones we don't like.
I like a Tootsie Roll. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the night, when you empty your bag and half of it was the little Tootsie Roll midgets, you're like, what are all these people doing? Can we not pick up something a little better than Tootsie Rolls? Because I would get 40, 50 Tootsie Rolls every Halloween. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
This whole bag's full of these things.
Yeah, those were always the last in my bag, too. You're like, you get down to the end, it's like Tootsie Rolls and I don't know what, erasers.
Well, same thing.
Right. But back in the day, they didn't have the different flavor Tootsie Rolls. How do you feel about like the newer flavors, like fruit?
There's only one flavor of Tootsie Roll.
I knew it.
The rest of them are something else. I do like the vanilla ones though, but they're not Tootsie Roll. Tootsie is a brand of chocolate.
What I like to do is take one of the chocolate and one of the vanilla, eat them together.
Now that's a swell idea.
Thank me later. Thank me later.
I'll thank you now. I'll have some. Oh shoot, the kids ain't going trick or treating. Man, I gotta buy that stuff now. Gosh. Oh no. The shipping department at work has a bowl of candy. I bet they'll have some out. I'll sneak in there and get some. Yeah. I'll try that Monday.
There you go. All right, on my least favorite list, Circus Peanuts. I remember an older lady putting Circus Peanuts in a baggie and giving those things out. I cannot stand them. Oh,
I guess it's better than just dropping them loose in your trick-or-treat bag.
Right, still, but I don't know. They were just, you never knew what kind you were going to get. Are you going to get the ones that they've been out in their jar for 2 months that you could use to stop a door with, or are you getting the squishy ones that are fresh?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can eat 2 or 3 individual Circus Peanuts about once a year. I'm not a big fan of them in general. I'll eat them every now and then.
Can't even do that.
But as a Halloween candy, trick or treat, you're right. That's got no place. We don't need that. Now it's something that I like, but get it like a candy apple or a caramel apple on Halloween. And there were some folks who would make these with love, and you know, it's an exorbitant treat. But they give it to you and you're holding it and you're like, what the hell am I going to do with this for the next 3 hours? I can't put it in a bag. I'm going to get sticky everywhere. What are you doing? If you're having a Halloween party, great. Make caramel apples, candy apples, feed them to people. But to give them to a kid who's going to be walking up and down the street for the next couple hours, what are you thinking?
Yeah. Fruit has no business on Halloween night, in my opinion.
No, but I tell you what's fun, though. You want to have some pranks with some mean kids that you don't like? Get you a big white onion and turn it into a caramel or candy apple with an onion and watch them bite into that sucker.
There's a good idea.
Speaking of good ideas, and we're talking about horrible Halloween treats. Every year on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, Cousin Sal does a video of bad trick or treat treats. I don't know if you've ever seen these or not.
No.
But he sets up these hidden cameras around his house and his front door, and these kids come, and he always acts like he forgot it's Halloween, and he just finds them stuff to give them. And these things are hilarious because my favorite one is when there'll be 4 or 5 kids and they'll knock on the door. He's like, "Oh, is it Halloween?" They're like, "Yeah, trick or treat." And he's like, "Oh, hold on, I'll find you something." And he comes back with like a loaf of bread and he opens it up and he's dropping a slice in each bag. And the whole video is just to capture the reactions of the kids.
Right.
And I think my other favorite besides that was a kid came. He's like, "Okay, I got something here for you. Hold out your hands." And he holds his hands out and Sal starts scooping ice cream into his hands and pouring chocolate syrup on it. And the kid just starts digging in face first and just eating it, getting it all over himself. There are several of those videos on YouTube you can watch, like Jimmy Kimmel Bad Halloween Candy or whatever. And he does one every year. So the day after Halloween, there'll be one up there, a new one to watch.
Meanwhile, the parents out in the car are like, "You're walking home. You're not getting into my car."
Yeah, well, Jimmy, the Jimmy Kimmel Show is popular, and Cousin Sal's a reoccurring character on there. So people kind of know where he lives, and they, I think, purposely go there now to get their kids on camera and stuff. So the parents are cool with it. But you could tell back in the early days, the first 1 or 2 he filmed, when the parents are in the scene with them, the look of disgust on their face is priceless because they don't know what's going on, that this is just a gag. And I'm sure probably you don't see it on camera, but I'm sure after he does that to the kids, they probably give them some boatload of candy to make up for it afterwards. Yeah. So don't feel bad for them.
Okay. Okay. Another one for me, I just did not like, and I will eat a Butterfinger every once in a while, but Chicko Stick. You remember Chicko Stick?
Yeah, that was okay.
It's like the inside of a Butterfinger. The taste or the consistency of it, but I don't know what it was about them. It was just like this long thing that had the consistency of a tree branch, and you bite it off and it gets stuck to your teeth immediately and will not leave your teeth until it's like dissolved. I just didn't like I didn't like Chicko Stick.
I don't reckon I have any more. I mean, other than just people who would go, I guess these days the closest comparison would be going to the Dollar Tree and buying the biggest bag of hard candy they can find individually wrapped and dropping it in. And, the flavor's never right on it. And, yeah. A little more imagination, folks.
Right. Yeah, just come on, man. I got 2 more. The one that my dad, I would give every piece of this I had to my dad because he just loved it and I couldn't stand it. And that's the black and orange taffy, what they call the peanut butter kisses. Hate those, man.
Peanut butter kisses. I don't know that I'm familiar with that.
It's like that peanut butter kind of individually wrapped taffy stuff.
Oh, you mean like Mary Jane's or Bit of Honey?
No. It's the wrappers themselves are either like orange or black.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that real cheap, just buy it at the Dollar Tree by the bag full of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Dad loved those, and I was glad to shove them his way. Here, you want some of my candy? You take all those, and leave all the nerds and everything else, alone. So at least I had some currency to give him each Halloween, so he wasn't digging into my bag when I was asleep.
Well, those were just a cheaper knockoff version of Mary Jane's or Bit of Honey, which I love both of those.
I'm not a big fan of those. I will eat one once in a while, but. The other one that I had that I really hated getting was the boxes of Boston baked beans.
Oh, I love Boston baked beans.
Oh my gosh, dude, come on. They're like, it's almost like tricking you because they're like, it got the candy shell, but then it turns into like peanut butter shards and you need something to drink immediately after eating those, man. They're just so dry and, I
think they're good.
No. Not on a candy night. I don't want peanuts coated in whatever that was on Halloween night.
Just a candy shell. It was good.
No, didn't do it for me. Put some
chocolate
in there or something.
I don't have any specific. I don't have any specific memories of getting them for Halloween, but just in general, I like those. And the other candied peanut, maybe they're just called candied peanuts, where they got like the little bumps all over them. the star bites or whatever they're called. Cultured people, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.